so the next match we have to cover is LA Knight versus Logan Paul. But before we do that, you want to pause for a second and talk about some breaking news that came out today, right before we started recording?
Let's go for it.
Yeah, so the man, Becky Lynch, posted on Instagram, seemingly hinting at her retirement from in-ring competition, alluding to the fact that it was fun being the man for all these years, but now it's time for her to be a mom. And if it is indeed Becky Lynch, if it is indeed her hanging up the boots, hanging it up, pal, walking away, riding off into the sunset, now what do you have to say? What's your instant analysis of that?
Well, she's the greatest female wrestler of all time. And yeah, maybe her star power compared to a Trish Stratus or a Lita historically might not be the same. But as far as what she has done, she's been the best across all aspects of wrestling as a woman. You know, her match catalog, her character work, her historic stuff like the WrestleMania 35 main event, winning the first ever women's main event, stuff that really stands up from a legacy all-time point of view. She's feuded with everybody. She's had big-time feuds with everyone. She's put over the future. She had the NXT Women's title run about a year ago, which when we had her in the top 10 of 2023. Like, she had a great 2023, did a lot for the future of the business in that year. She had the big, the feud with Bianca Belair, putting over one of the other next big stuff. She's done it all in wrestling. And I look at her situation, who can blame her? If she wants to spend the next 5 years of her life being a mum and then maybe having the 1 or 2 in-ring returns power where she'll come back to have a big match with Tiffany Stratton power to SummerSlam, or she'll come back for a one-off big appearance to have a match against Liv Morgan again or something. Good for her. But yeah, my initial response, I mean, a legend. I know there was a whole smear campaign against Becky Lynch by a certain section of the community for about 2-3 years about how she's a cancer to the business and how everything she's associated with is bad and all this sort of thing. It's just BS. I mean, she's one of the greatest female wrestlers ever. You know, where she ranks all time, big picture. I mean, I had her cracking the top 50 with what she's done, the impact. There's a lot of women and a lot of girls all over the world who look up to her, and she's the reason they're going to get into pro wrestling one day. Like, she's the biggest reason, because Charlotte Flair doesn't have that same buy-in from fans. Charlotte Flair just won 14, 15 world titles because of her last name. Sasha Banks quit a couple of times. Now she's an AEW pal, repeating whatever Tony Khan wants to say in interviews. And Bayley's, yeah, a good hand. But yeah, Becky's the star. So yeah, if this is the end, pal, if this is her hanging up the boots, pal, as far as like a full-time thing, the greatest women's wrestler of all time. That's my opinion. So yeah, what do you think, pal?
Yeah, I don't know if I would go that far to say she's the greatest women's wrestler of all time. That's a spicy debate, pal. I definitely think she's Mount Rushmore conversation. You know, top 10 for sure. Not even a discussion. She's one of the all-time greats. And it has been kind of sad to see some of the hatred that she's gotten recently. It's kind of been confusing. You know, where they were like, oh, she refuses to put over Liv Morgan. Like, Liv Morgan wasn't ready yet. Now Liv Morgan's ready. If Liv Morgan were to face Becky Lynch tomorrow, Liv Morgan's going over. You know, like, that stuff was just goofy. Like, comparing her like Becky Hogan, like, Becky Lynch doesn't have a fraction of the political power that Hogan had. You know, it's just if we're looking at that, like, critically. But with that being said, still, it was unfortunate. It was kind of sad to see. Like, I think Charlotte, you know, for all the criticism she gets, a lot of it is pretty fair. You know, like she's not that great on the mic, or as charismatic. Everything that Charlotte lacks, Becky has in droves. You know, and Becky's also a good in-ring wrestler as well. Just she didn't have the machine behind her. Maybe it would have been different if the machine was a little bit more like in her corner, and we did get like Becky versus Ronda one-on-one at WrestleMania 35, for example.
I was gonna say just on that. Yeah, well, but then again, if the machine was mine, maybe people just would have been sick of her far sooner and said, no, not for me.
Maybe.
Get her off. I'm sick of her. Like, that organic stuff with the man, everything that encompassed in 2018, 2019, that was the best thing in WWE for about a year. And yeah, does that say a lot about the standard of what was going on elsewhere? Yeah, I mean, it was a bad time for wrestling generally. And yeah. WWE's in the doldrums. The McMahons are out apologizing on TV every week. But yeah, it doesn't change. Like, Becky Lynch was one of the only things worth watching at that time. She was like the beacon of light with the women's division. And, oh my God, she's going to face Ronda. Oh my God. The biggest women's match ever. And then Charlotte's. We all know what happened. But yeah, Now, needless to say, pal, Becky's a legend, pal.
Yeah, regardless, one of the greatest of all time. And if it is the end, it was a pleasure watching her and a pleasure being a fan of hers. That's really all we can say about that. Now,
yeah, and just one more thing before we go. And like things with Becky, and like I think about like moments in the performance center. It's like May 20. It's April, May 2020. It's deep in the heart of COVID. There's no fans. That segment where Becky Lynch said, I'm gonna be going from like the man to the mum. I'm pregnant. Then she vacated the women's championship, and she was like crying, hugging Asuka, and Asuka's really happy for her. Moments like that you don't associate with like a Charlotte Flair, for instance, like
right.
organic, authentic moments. They're just like real sort of stuff. Just wanted to throw that out there. But yeah, Becky Lynch, one of the greatest female wrestlers ever.